Welcome to Austin Tech Connect. So what if I told you that one of Austin's top engineering leaders said that his company doesn't hire engineers? You'd probably think I misunderstood him. However, I didn't. And that's exactly what today's guest said on the stage at Developer Week a while back in San Jose, and he meant it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome to Austin Tech Connect. This is the official podcast of the Austin Technology Council. And my name is Thom Singer, and I have been in this role at ATC now for nearly 4 years. And we're working to shake things up, bring the community together, and look to the future of the great ways that Austin can lead in the world of tech going forward. On this podcast every week, I try to bring interesting guests who are going to talk about their companies, their theories around business, and just share some general advice about life, about business, and about Austin. And so that's what we're going to do today. But first, I have to thank the sponsor of Austin Tech Connect, and that is Calavista Software. Software development without the drama. Since 2001, Calavista Software has been trusted by startups and Fortune 100 companies alike. So today I would like to welcome back to the podcast Balazs Barna. He is the head of U.S. engineering at Wise. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Tom. It's great to be back.
Glad to have you. And you were actually on the show almost exactly 2 years ago. I looked it up for those who want to go back and hear the original episode. It was May 14th, 2024. So just shy of that 2-year mark. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you back is I loved hearing about sort of your outlook about engineering in the world of AI, but also a couple of other things. You're on the board of the Austin Technology Council. So we want to say thank you for that. And at the end, we're going to talk a little bit about Austin and the Tech Council, but also Wise is going to be the host of something really special coming up in May, and that is the Austin Tech Hall of Fame reception. That's right. This is the 3rd year that we're hosting the Austin Tech Hall of Fame, and we're going to honor 8 legacy people who helped create the foundation of what made Austin great. We'll also have a 2026 inductee, and we'll celebrate the First Time Founder Award, and we're going to do that right there in the beautiful space that Wise has. So first of all, thank you for doing that.
Yes, we are very much looking forward to that. Maybe I can share with the audience how I came to Austin. I'm sure they already recognize my accent.
That is a little bit of an accent. Yeah. How did you get here?
Well, Wise is a global technology company with the UK headquarters in London. But today we are a global company, and I joined this company 9 years ago back in Budapest. And I was responsible for building out our European banking infrastructure. And in the last 5 years, I focused more and more on the US market, which is crucial for Wise and for, like every financial company. And we came up with the idea that we are going to need a new US headquarters to support the amazing growth that we had on this market. And this is how we chose Austin. So a little bit more than 4 years ago, I came over here. I was the first one to arrive with my family, and now we built a presence which is around 750 people that we have in Austin. An amazing full stack office. We're very happy that we were able to scale to where we are today, and super happy to be part of ATC and now having the Hall of Fame in the Wise office is going to be an amazing achievement.
So let's go back a little bit to that time. Why did Wise choose Austin? The United States is a big country. There's a lot of places to be. There's a lot of tech hubs. How come Austin?
Well, Austin has a lot of momentum behind it. There were a lot of amazing tech companies who came here and set up shop here. And when we did our research, it seemed like the obvious choice where we can hire amazing engineers, product people. There is a great startup scene in Austin. And also we can hire operational folks. And we really wanted to have these two groups or these two teams under the same roof, because that's what we believe leads to a strong, cohesive team.
Nice. So I want to jump into this whole idea of sort of what you said at Developer Week, right? I want to jump right into it. So I'm quoting you here, I think, because I got some of the transcript, and it said, "We don't hire engineers." So let's run with that. You're an engineering organization there. How do you not hire engineers? What did you mean?
Yes. Hopefully I wasn't just controversial for the sake of it. What we do hire instead of engineers is product engineers. So as we were building this company, we knew that our engineering org has to be exceptionally strong and it has to scale. And if you have a setup where the engineers are just responsible for execution and the product managers are doing the thinking, then, like you're not really using everyone to their fullest extent. So the people that we wanted to hire are engineers who can think like a product manager, but also are super skilled as engineers. And when you have that combination, then you can really scale and then you can be lethal.
And that's a good thing to be. So let's paint a picture here. What exactly do you mean? What does your day-to-day look like? If I followed a product engineer around on a Tuesday afternoon, what would I see them doing differently than just a traditional engineer? As a product engineer, what's their role?
So if you compare an engineer who gets a ticket in the morning and that ticket describes exactly what they're going to do and what they have to implement, that's super easy. And now if you think about AI, now you're going to wonder if AI can do what they're doing. What a product engineer does is product engineer works closely with the PM and with analysts, and they're going to verify first whether, the problem that they're about to work on is a problem and they need to work on, and does it need to be solved? The worst thing that an engineer can do is find a beautiful solution for a problem that shouldn't have been solved in the first place.
So it is interesting though, because, this idea of being a product engineer was something that you were doing kind of before AI sort of took over, right? But now AI is accelerating it. I think it's probably complicating it. So let's talk about the day-to-day life in engineering with now the addition of pretty smart, pretty good AI. I'll just tell a quick story. Is I know someone who is an engineer programmer in the finance space, and when AI first came out 3 years ago, they wouldn't touch it. They wouldn't use it. He was anti-AI. And recently he was telling me how he was using AI in writing code and doing things. And I said, wait a minute, where did this shift come from in the last, 18 months? And he said, well, he goes, it can be very helpful. He said, but I have to treat it like we've hired the most junior coder imaginable, or I have to treat it like we've hired the best coder imaginable, but he's on LSD. So he said it's doing great work, but you can't trust it entirely. So what are you seeing?
I think AI is an amplifier, first of all. So it gives you productivity gains. And what it really does is it's effective, right? It's efficient. So it can generate code that is semantically correct. But what's really important for an organization is not just that you do things right, it's doing the right things. And that's where you need humans to make sure that you are doing the right things. So if you have habits as an organization or as an engineer to introduce technology just for the sake of it, or you have a habit to overcomplicate something, AI is going to make it so much easier because before AI, you actually had to sit down and type in the code. But now you can create a prompt and you will build new services for your organization. So that's definitely something where AI can lead you down the wrong path. But it's also a very powerful tool to do things that were unimaginable before. You can use it to build a much better architecture. You can use it to analyze where your weak spots are. You can use it to write much better tests, build features much, much quicker. So we really see amazing productivity gains at Wise, and our engineers are encouraged to use the AI tool that they like the best.
So, but just scrolling through anything, scrolling through LinkedIn, everybody's got a hot take on how AI is impacting everything, including engineering. Where's everybody getting it wrong on where AI is impacting engineers?
I think when it comes to innovation, people tend to focus on what is changing. People tend to focus on, hype questions like, is this going to replace engineers. What people don't focus on as much is what are the things that are not changing. The principles of a strong engineer, uh, the first principle of engineering is something that is not going to change. It's something that has been true for thousands of years. When I went to university, our professors are always telling us that they don't want us to be amazing programmers. They teach us to be strong engineers. And now I really see what they meant because technology is always changing. There is always something new about it, but you need to have strong foundations to build strong systems and strong organizations, to be fair.
So I'm curious then, what are a lot of companies doing wrong? Obviously, I want to talk about what Wise is doing right, but what do you think other people are doing wrong? Where are they dropping the ball?
I think that if you don't give your people enough autonomy to choose what tools they're going to use and what problems are worth solving, and if you are top down, then you are going to be at a disadvantage. So if you look at, there was a paper by Sequoia, and they talk about how AI is going to change organizations and how access to information and access to AI can lead to amazing productivity gains and a lot more clarity in their organization. If organizations don't have these tools, then they won't have the benefits of AI. Satya Nadella had a really cool story about this, where he was talking about how his team is preparing for an upcoming board meeting. And then he was saying that his team is going to the department heads, and the department heads go down to teams, and they get all this information, which flows up. And then his team spends days, preparing the information to make sure it's good enough for the CEO. But now he can go and type in something to Copilot, and he's going to get a better answer than, with this previous process that so many people worked on. So it depends on the organization whether, they can make this jump and make these tools available for everyone instead of just going with the flow and how they used to do things.
So there's a lot of tools out there, right? So how does a company decide to give the engineers choice, give the engineers autonomy without opening up to every single tool that's out there?
I think you need to listen to the engineers, and you need to be really close to the trends, which we do at Wise. And we give access to the 3, 4, 5 best tools that everybody's using, and we also make it easier to add tools to Wise, and that the process is straightforward and easy to follow.
So earlier you talked about the product engineer sort of thinking customer first, if you will. How do we actually look at that? What is the trait for the engineer not to just be expecting that product manager to say, here's your workflow, go do this? How do you get them trained up to be an engineer who is also product manager mindset?
I think hiring plays a great role in this. So you have to hire people who are curious, people who are curious about what it takes to build a good product. They are curious about what are the customer pain points, and they're capable of putting the customer first. One really good trait that I think is important is if your engineers are capable of explaining what they're doing to a customer and explaining, I'm doing this because I'm going to make our system more robust. There is going to be less incidents because of this, or we are going to improve the uptime. That's a really good way of making sure that they understand why they're working on something, not just how that piece of code is going to work.
So it's interesting. You say it comes back to, sort of making the right hires. But right now, I would imagine, this is a layman talking, I would imagine there's a lot of mid-career engineers who are kind of scared of the shifts that are happening right now, right? I mean, they're seeing the world change around them. They've been in this job. Not, it's one thing to be young and have a lot of change happening around you, but if you've been in the role, 10 or 15 years and you're wondering if the skills you've built are even relevant in this new world, what would you tell that mid-career engineer to make them totally ready to be a great hire for Wise?
Well, I can tell you what I did. I took my day to day is not coding anymore, and I spend a lot of time planning the roadmap with product managers and other leaders. So, in order for me to really understand what this new ways of working means for AI, I took a week of vacation, and I spent roughly like 16, 18 hours a day just building something from scratch. Um, and that really made me understand what engineers are going through in their day-to-day jobs. So if your current current employer doesn't allow you to use AI tools and you feel like you're not improving in that, then you have to do the work outside of work. But I would encourage everybody to find employers where they can learn these new techniques, and they can surround themselves with people who are experts at this.
And that's actually good advice for everybody, whether you're in engineering or you're not in engineering. You've got to be learning the tools. You've got to be keeping up with the change that's out there. Because if you can't at least talk to it, it's going to put you sort of behind that eight ball. So going back, go ahead.
And sorry, and
Yeah.
it's very easy, right, to start, and it's super addictive. So I was still coding around like midnight, and there was like I felt like there's still something, like a little something that I can just do. Like there is like one more prompt that I can do. There's like one more feature that I can just build. I can just give AI, like something that is going to work on. And when I wake up, that is going to be ready, and I can start with a bit of an advantage in the morning. So it's a lot of fun. It's not just about, like making yourself more marketable. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I even tell people who are outside of the engineering world that, you'd better be figuring out how to use AI beyond just a Google search or helping you, clean up your writing. I write a lot, both for myself and for ATC, and I don't let AI write for me. But I do. My English teacher told me I could never be a writer because I wasn't really good with grammar. So I do let AI clean up my writing a little bit to make sure that it flows. But I don't let it write for me. But you got to do more than just tweaking your writing and using it for a Google search, because there's so many different things when it comes to strategy, sort of across the board. What are some things that people should be looking at for their career outside necessarily of just the engineering skills? How else should people be using AI in their careers?
That's an amazing advice that you just gave. I also gave this advice to the engineering leads that I'm working with, that whatever they're writing something, they should still like write it first, and then like write a very specific prompt to AI to keep it genuine. Use the similar vocabulary, fix the grammar, maybe make like logical suggestions to it, but I think one pitfall that people can fall into is if they outsource the thinking, right? So like writing and how you add value to the organization is something that you should be like really clear of, and keep it to yourself and not outsource it to AI.
Well, and one of the prompts I use to clean things up is exactly what you said. I ask it not to make any material changes, to keep it in my voice. And I say, it's in my prompt, that my eighth grade English teacher said that I wasn't a good writer, that I wasn't really good with grammar and with spelling out the story. So I want you to make my eighth grade English teacher proud. And it's funny how it won't make major tweaks, but it'll affect sort of the flow of the sentence just a little bit. And then for any material changes, I forget what you called it, but thoughtful suggestions, I ask it not to put it in there, but to give it to me so that I can then write the paragraph and have it fix it. So,
Yeah.
because I don't want to lose my skills as a writer, because it would be easy, it saves me a lot of time on editing. So I'm writing in about half the time, but I don't want to lose that first half of the time. I still want to be able to be a good writer. And I assume that's true for engineers as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that for engineers, the like staying with the first principles and making sure that you are starting from the problem space always is the most important thing that you can do. So when you understand the theory of the business, you understand how the business that you work for makes money, who are the customers, what are the pain points, then you can figure out whether the problem is that you're tasked with is important enough to work on it or not. And then you can also make this decision whether, like what the trade-offs are. You will see that clearly, and you will be able to choose a solution that is going to be in line with how important that problem is. And that's the solution space. So really what an engineer is doing is doing this mapping between the solutions, between the problem space to the solution space.
So going back to your talk at Developer Week in San Jose, is there anything that you talked about that we haven't covered that was really well received by the audience? Is there any other sort of tidbits from that talk that we need to share with everybody listening right now?
I think that the elevator pitch went across really well. When I talked about, we used to talk about this like 20 years ago, the elevator pitch, when you meet the CEO in the elevator, and then you have to explain to them how you add value to the company and what you're working on, and how more like a better version of that is if you think about like what would you say to a customer about what you're about to do today, and if you can explain that clearly, then like that shows that you really understand the why behind what you're about to do.
Nice, I like that, and that sort of triggers something else that I told someone the other day, and that was they were talking. I was asking somebody who has a job that I think AI could change, if not replace, and it's a pretty high paid job. He does a really good job, and I said, what if as AI gets better, it materially changes your job or replaces you? And his answer was, I'm a problem solver. I would just go out and find a different problem to solve. And I thought that was really an ingenious thought for somebody who was in kind of that type of a role. Was, if you see yourself as a problem solver, then you can morph as the technologies morph.
Yeah. And also, if you think about the internet, right? The internet really disrupted certain industries, but it also created tons of jobs for people that we never thought of before. So I think there is going to be a lot of opportunities that AI is going to bring. And if people are close to it, then they are going to be able to take advantage of that and join those new fields very early. I heard a great quote about this when somebody was talking about replacing engineers, and they were saying that they were asking this question, like, did cars replace walking? And I think that's a great point.
Yeah. So let's shift over to, well, first of all, one more question about Wise. Wise is continuing to grow. If someone's looking to learn more about Wise, they think it's a good career opportunity, how do they find out about Wise?
They can follow me on LinkedIn. They can also go to wise.com/jobs. And yes, we have tons of opportunities in our Austin office.
Nice. So let's shift gears a little bit, sort of, to Austin and the Austin Technology Council. You're one of these people who I admire because you're involved with you personally, but also Wise is involved in several groups in town. Sometimes people are like, I give my money to Opportunity Austin, or I give my money to the Chamber, or we do this one thing. Wise is a real community supporter. You're doing a lot of things with the existing organization, and you're also trying to do a lot of things beyond that. Why the commitment to the Austin tech community from you individually and from Wise?
It's always great to learn more about the community that you're part of. It's great to surround yourself with people who've seen the history, and there were really strong reasons behind why we chose Austin, right? I talked about that. There's an amazing community, and Austin also has a great tech history. And it's a privilege to be a part of that and to contribute to it and lead us to an even brighter future.
So what do you think Austin as a community is doing well? And what do you think maybe we need to be aware of? What are some areas that we can improve? What are some more services that the Austin community, certainly the Austin Technology Council, can be providing? Where are the holes?
That's an interesting question. I think the startup scene is super strong in Austin. I think we are really well rounded. We can hire all types of engineers, and we can also hire operational talent. And what's super important for a location is not just the metro area, but it's also what we've seen is people are really happy to come to Austin, and that's because of the culture. That's because of how inclusive it is. So I think those are definitely the strong points of Austin, and we hope that that's not going to change in the future. When it comes to improvements, I think that more meetups, more community gatherings could be like, good. We are trying to do our best. We've done a couple of really cool Java meetups with really esteemed guests who are well renowned and very known in the Java community. But more of that would be really good. The reason why maybe there is not so many of these is because Austin is kind of spread out. So if we find locations and if we can get to these people and if we can build good social media groups, I think that's going to make things a lot easier. This is something that we've discussed privately.
Yeah. Well, and it is true. The geography is hard. And it's not that the geography is that big. It's the traffic between the geography, that can create some of those problems to get from the Domain to downtown or from Westlake, to the east side can sometimes be a little hard. One of the things that I'm trying to put together is trying to get more leaders at your level to want to come together around, instead of just private curated things, but to come around and sort of lead some of these discussions for different groups. So I'm going to be pinging you on some ideas that I have to help bring more of the leaders from some of these larger companies, especially the ones like yourselves who are headquartered somewhere else, but who have 700-800 people here. That's a huge contributor to the general business community. And I think we need to have sort of a club for those people as well.
Yes, I fully agree. I think increasing the visibility of these people can help get others to also come out and also contribute and add to the conversations.
Nice. Well, thank you for being here on the podcast. Thank you so much for your support of the Austin Technology Council and the Austin community. Any final words?
Super happy to be in Austin, and we are also super happy to be part of ATC and looking forward to what comes next.
Great. Well, you can find Balazs Barna on LinkedIn, and you can find Wise at wise.com, and you can find the Austin Technology Council at austintechnologycouncil.org. We've got a lot of big events coming up, but the one you should be paying attention to is the Austin Tech Hall of Fame. Tickets are on sale now, and it's a great way to get to go see the Wise offices and meet Balazs. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on Austin Tech Connect.